Hey guys, welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. Don here. Today I'm going to go over my tech list, some of the things that I put in there. If you haven't downloaded it, update on the podcast, webinar did with a group of physical therapists, a post-op video idea, and subscription for podiatry. I'm going to start with this post-op video idea. This came from a colleague. He is an orthopedist and does a lot of arthroscopic surgery. So actually, when I was doing the webinar with a physical therapist, this is how I get a lot of my ideas. I was saying, hey, what works for other people? And what he said, there's a local doc. What he does is after surgery, he basically takes the patient's phone and he records a post-op video. So you basically take their phone. Once again, you don't want to take my dumb phone. You want to take a real phone, and you would just take the phone and then you would just record something. Hey, this is Dr. Pelto. You just had your bunion surgery. You stay off your foot for the next 3 to 4 days. Take your pain medication. If you have any problems, give me a call. And maybe even give them your cell phone, and they could save that. And that's kind of a cool idea of doing like a post-op video. Anyway, that was kind of cool. And then we're going to kind of go over the subscription for podiatry and then some YouTube things more specifically. Okay, so let's get right into it here. Podiatry, I did a practice mastery tech list. So basically, I changed the homepage of Podiatry Practice Mastery. Instead of offering the membership, I put this free download. I got this idea from the guy that wrote Who Not How, so Benjamin Hardy, who did it along with Dan Sullivan. So I basically took his idea, kind of made it, and I made it in a little PDF. I did it on Designer, and I've talked to you about that before. So you look in the resources, Designer is there. That's how I made it real easy to do. And basically, I will show you what it looks like in a little bit if you want to see the back end of things. This was a cool idea. I thought I came up with the idea, but I guess I didn't. There's a podiatrist that's in California, and she developed her own subscription. It was a great idea, and I'm jealous. I like it, and I want to show it to you. So this is what she does here. It's for new patients, $450 for 60 minutes, includes X-rays, so they can have an appointment. A new patient, 30 minutes, they can do an appointment. Established patient. And then she also have these memberships. What a cool idea. Basically $89 a month, $100 enrollment fee, minimum of 3 months, and prior to rescheduling and after hours. So this is her option. Basically, it's a toenail and callus care membership for maybe people that want a little bit more care. And they also have an amputation prevention one if someone has wound care. Anyway, I thought that was a neat idea. I'll there's a podcast I'll include underneath here if you guys want to listen to it. This is a way I use Fancy Hands. So basically there was a doctor I wanted to send a book to. And so what I did is I sent an email. I said, hey, can you send this doctor this book? I think it was The Gap or the Gain, the book I'm reading. I kind of liked it. I want to send it to another doctor, but I didn't want to go and do that. So they went and did everything for me, and they just sent me this confirmation, and they billed my credit card. Kind of a neat idea. If you're not using Fancy Hands, you might want to consider it. Once again, that's in under the recommendations or different stuff within Podiatry Practice Mastery. So let me go and show you now what we talked about within the podcast. I talked a little bit about adding storytelling, and I'm going to share specifically from this chiropractor how he uses storytelling and how I'm kind of working on it in my practice, both telling stories to patients. Once again, we already know about like these analogies that we use with orthotics. For example, you can say it's like eyeglasses, or it's helping the mechanical instability in your eyes, kind of like orthotics for your feet, or you kind of use a story where you talk about like your car, how it's like off of equilibrium and then out of alignment, and you help orthotics make it in alignment. But even more so, you can kind of tell stories with patients' experience. And this guy, he's a chiropractor, tells a story about a sacroiliac patient, and kind of did that. Here is the Podiatry Practice Mastery show. This is from last week. Some gap and gain takeaways. This is from that book called The Gap and the Gain. Some of the things that I found that really helpful. The idea and use of case studies and scorecards. And I went over that scorecard during this Podiatry Practice Mastery. If you didn't look at that, my scorecard, and how to use case studies, and then why I made the tech list, and the first person purchased the webinar. So those are what we talked about. Here's the webinar I did recently with a group of physical therapists. I put it on my blog if you want to look at it. It's under Central Mass Podiatry under the blog. And basically I included the webinar replay. This is a link to my YouTube. and then the link to the physical therapy place and a couple of the shoe stores and the courses that I talked about within that. So if you want to see kind of how that webinar works, I do have a webinar course within Podiatry Practice Mastery. A couple of people have done it, but these are the ones that I do, and these are available within that course if you want to get my actual course. Here is vidIQ. As we're talking about YouTube, this is an option for you if you want to increase. I'm just starting to learn it, but basically when you open up a YouTube video, on the right-hand side here, it has vidIQ. And basically, this is the chiropractor that I was talking to you about, Positive Motion Chiropractic. Okay, this is Brant. And what I really like is basically he has about 2 million views on this, and this was just done in July. So he found a specific keyword that really needed some help that no one was really dealing with. And what I like about his video, let's first talk about his video. Within the video, he talks about this patient that was kind of jumping around and had a lot of impact on their sacroiliac joint, caused a lot of problems, and it was easily treated with chiropractic. So basically, he starts by sharing a story, and I think that's the key. And what he told me is this is what he kind of attracts are these patients who he's telling the story about. So the thought is for you, can you tell a story before you explain? So a lot of us, like me included, I get into just doing my presentation, basically showing this is what you have, this is why you have it, this is how you treat it. But would it be maybe better to share kind of a similar story about a patient, like even the patient that's in your treatment room? Hey, I had a patient similar to you with this condition, and this is how we treated them. And then I go into the treatment of the condition. Okay. He talks about a few other things that we're going to go over as well. Actually, I might as well go over that right now. Let's go back here. So a few other things that he talked about in there. vidIQ, he says, this is for you. So basically, this is a good way to say, this is for you if this happens to you, or, this is the symptom. So basically what you're doing is you're pointing out the pain. Then you're going to tell a story. And there's a good book called Story Brand. But you learn to tell a story of a patient. It's very easy, and I'm going to explain kind of how I do it and how I kind of track those. Then you can do telling a story, doing a case study. Once again, this is a patient. And then you give them a roadmap. He calls it a roadmap. It's kind of how we treat it, what I call my patient presentation, and then kind of what's recommended or different things you can sell on Amazon. The way I do it is I put it actually within my video ideas. Okay. Actually, I put it within my Central Mass Podiatry. These are my videos. And these are the ones I'm doing, like my monthly newsletter. And so this is one I did even this morning. If we wait for it to pop up, I saw a patient and she was treated for nail fungus. And you're like, how many times can you talk about nail fungus? And it gets kind of boring for all of us. But like if you're telling that story to someone on YouTube, that's what they're going to resonate with. And so the way I've done this, sorry, it kind of buffers a little bit. And I have like hundreds and hundreds of slides here. You can see they have to kind of fill them in. But the one I talked about was, okay, so where is it here? Oh, Haglund's. Here's plantar fibroma, metatarsalgia. But there's different case studies. So here's one with metatarsalgia. I put their medical record. Basically, they were seen 3 months. They had a hard time functioning, tried new shoes. But the one I did on where it's not showing it here was for nail fungus. Talked about kind of all the emotion. Oh, here it is right here. Here's the patient. She had fungus for 20 years. She painted them when she went to weddings. She was embarrassed. She looked for shoes that covered them up. She never wore open-shoed, showed shoes. She used to hold her feet so no one could see them, or like cover one foot after another. And she had some fungus on her toes, and then she did Lamisil. She was going to get pregnant and get it before them, but their doctor didn't recommend it. She did some Lamisil. I thought it would be really expensive. And then, like, this is her whole story. So my thought is I can do this as a story initially, and then I can go into my patient presentation, because no one really cares until they understand the story, or like, this is for you if you've had nail fungus for 20 years, you thought it was really expensive, you've tried to cover your toes up in the sand. So telling that story first and then going into it, I think there's going to be a lot more emotional takeaway takeaway with that. So that's what this gentleman does. This is Brent. He's a chiropractor. So he makes, I think it's like 10,000 a month on this. Okay. On the only a few videos. It's not easy to do. Okay. It takes time. But here's the amount of views. vidIQ, it also talks about engagement. It gives you a score. The cool thing is it has a way to optimize it. So in the videos, you should have a good title, tags, description. He doesn't have a card. A card is where it has a call to action. End screen, nothing has an end screen on there. Basically, that's where it asks to do other videos. High resolution thumbnail, share it on Facebook, making it public, pinned a comment. Here's the comment that they put there, and a hearted comment, one right here. So those are things that you can do to make it more popular. Here's the video tags, and within vidIQ, you can just kind of steal these kind of ideas. So those are kind of the ideas here. Ending here on the tech list. This is the tech list. This is how I did it originally in Google Docs, just kind of sharing some tech lists, things that I use like send later, canned responses, things like that. I made this and I simply put it into that designer, and it made something that could be downloadable and offered to people. So that's kind of step one of kind of building an email list. So anyway, I think we went a little bit too long. Sorry, it took me a little bit of time to find that that testimony, but I think it's key when we're trying to teach patients, not only on video, but also our own patients. Before we start and go into the, okay, this is what you have, this is what causes, this is how you treat it, kind of get them emotionally attached and say, hey, add a similar patient with a similar situation, they got better, or I see this all the time and my patients tend to get better. But versus saying like, I see this all the time, I think it's much better to say, I had one patient that was very similar to you, and this is kind of how they got better. So anyway, hope you guys found this helpful. I'm trying something a little bit different now at the end. They're going to put a couple of other videos you might like and some other resources that you can download on Podiatry Practice Mastery. So once again, I hope you guys found this helpful, and let me know what you think. Please like the channel underneath it and share it with your friends. Okay? Once again, thanks guys. Have a great day.